Yes, very good morning. Good morning, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Dr. Bishojay Chatterjee, Provost, Sir, Professor Dr. Pradeep Kumar Sharma, Dean, Sir, Professor Dr. Aniruddha Mukherjee, HOD, Sir, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Professor Sandeep Das, Sir, and other dignitaries. I myself, Chirodip Mukherjee from Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, would like to take the privilege to declare that IETE Student Forum of University of Engineering and Management Jaipur is organizing a webinar on artificial intelligence and machine learning in engineering. The Institute of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers IETE is India's leading recognized professional society devoted to the advancement of science and technology of electronics in the field of telecommunication and information technology (IT). Founded in 1953, the IT is the national apex professional body of electronics and telecommunication, computer science and IT professionals. The IT Student Forum of University of Engineering and Management Jaipur focuses on the advancement of the science and technology of electronics and telecommunication, computers, information technology, and other relevant areas. Towards this end, the IT Student Forum promotes and conducts basic engineering and continuing technical education programs for human resource development. We regularly organize workshops, we regularly organize seminars, model exhibitions, quiz competitions, conferences in the relevant areas to motivate our students. Now, I would like to request Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir to say a few words which should definitely motivates us to organize such technical activities. Over to Sir.
On behalf of University of Engineering and Management, UEM Jaipur, I welcome you all attendees and all participants. And most importantly, I welcome Dr. Anju Gupta, Madam, Department of Electrical Engineering from JC Bose University of Science and Technology, YMCA, Faridabad. Madam, it's a privilege for us that you have agreed to join this, and you have chosen a burning topic, I should say, artificial intelligence and machine learning applications in engineering. As all of you have been aware of Industry 4.0, maybe for the last 2 years, mostly for the last 1 or 2 years. So this artificial intelligence and machine learning forms a big pillar of this Industry 4.0. We are saying that the revolution is happening, industry is totally shifting, and the works done by human being will have to be taken up by machines, and human being will have many new works to do, including building of new machines. So definitely artificial intelligence forms the biggest part of it. And under this COVID world, all of you have heard that these robots are being used in a big way in the medical field. They are even used by the hospitals to have a tray to carry medicines or foods for the patients to avoid this contamination. So I would not take much more of time today. It's all over to Dr. Anju Gupta, Madam. We are all very eagerly waiting to hear about this artificial intelligence machine learning from you. Thank you so much. It's all over to you, Madam. So thank you, Professor Chirodip.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Madam.
So thank you so much, sir. So dear participants, students, faculty members from different colleges and universities, and my dear friends, good morning, all of you. First of all, I want to thank Vice Chancellor of University of Engineering and Management, Professor Chatterjee, for giving me opportunity to speak on a topic that is actually the future of engineering. As Professor said that this is the artificial intelligence and machine learning is now the future of the engineering. Whether it is mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, any type of engineering, it is the future of engineering, artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now, I want to thank the organizing committee.
Hello. Okay.
Yeah. I want to thank the organizing committee, faculty coordinator, Professor Sandeep Das, and Professor Chirodip Mukherjee, faculty advisor, IIT student chapter, and the student organizer of IIT for being a great organizers and organizing this webinar on a different platform. Actually, we are not all familiar of this. So I'll be start sharing my screen. Jayadip sir, please give me the
Yes,
screen
yes,
sharing
ma'am.
option. How will you share it? I think.
You may kindly open your PPT, madam. We can see your screen.
Yeah, one second. Can you see my screen?
Yes, your screen
Is
is
it
visible.
Yes, ma'am.
visible?
Artificial intelligence machine. Yeah, we can see your
Yeah.
picture on that.
So we'll be talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning applications in electrical engineering today. So actually, when we are talking about artificial intelligence, and we are left with so many questions now. So is AI an can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Just a minute, I have to go to settings.
If you want to make it full screen, you may kindly click on that slideshow thing and you can.
Yeah, I'll do that, but some menu bars are coming now, so I want to just hide those.
So for that, you just click on slideshow and make it full screen. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, now it's absolutely fine.
But I'm not able to see. Just a minute. It is fine now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So whenever we are talk about artificial intelligence, so many questions came into our mind. What is artificial intelligence? Is artificial intelligence in an attempt to build models for ourselves? So this question is arising in our minds whenever you talk about artificial intelligence. From when then? It is 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago? Or is AI is thought in same way when we are in so-called digital age? So since 70 to 80 years ago or a little bit earlier? Or we can say this question comes into our mind that AI is a development of operational outlook to make computers to perform acts in a way where the humans are performing better. So I think if the humans are performing better, then this I think no need to go for AI. So then, did ever human try? To what extent humans succeeded? And are we explaining AI applications, experiences AI applications in daily life? These all are questions which are coming into our mind. Now, if you go to the historical attempt, just first of all, in 1830s to 1840s, Joseph Weber invented amazing talking machine, a mechanical machine that had reportedly spent over 25 years developing. Fabulous talking machine was constructed of several different mechanisms and instruments, a piano, a bellows, and a mechanical replica of human throat and vocal organs. By pressing the keys on keyboard, a human operator produced sounds that inflated the bellows, caused the mechanical mouth to open, the mechanical tongue to be lifted, and the mechanical jaws to move. Able to produce sentences in English, French, and German, the Utopia was reported by the London Journal to speak all three with a German accent, a fact attributed to the natural language of the inventor. So it was able to talk in all the languages, three languages. So what is the root of modern technology? In 1642, Pascal built an adding machine. So it was Pascaline. It also called arithmetic machine, the first calculator or adding machine to produced in any quantity and actually used. The Pascaline was designed and built by French mathematician philosopher Blaise Pascal between 1642 and 1644. Pascaline was first mathematical calculator that worked through a series of wheels and gears. It was initially known as arithmetic machine, then called as Pascaline wheel, and finally got its name Pascaline. So next in 1832, English mathematician and inventor Charles Babbage is credited with having conceived the first automatic digital computer. During the mid-1830s, Babbage developed plans for an analytical engine. Although it was never completed, the analytical engine would have had the most basic elements of present-day computer. So here we start with the computer technology, that is in 1832. Now in 1632, the Step Prochnow was a digital mechanical mathematician, Gottfried, and completed it in 1692 and Rockning machine. To accelerate and simplify the tedious calculation on paper, he invented a so-called four species calculating machine and apparatus that was used to conduct the four basic arithmetical operations mechanically. So it was still mechanical in nature. At last, in 1945, we come with the first computer developed, that is ENIAC, Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer, built between 1943 and 1945. The first large-scale computer to run at electronic speed without being shot by and mechanical parts. ENIAC could be programmed to perform complex sequences of operations, including loops, branches, and subroutines. However, instead of the stored program computers that exist today, ENIAC was just a large collection of arithmetic machines which originally had programs set up into the machine. So next we come to 1950s. In 1950s, first imitation game developed that is presently known as Turing test. So in this Turing test, actually, but application of this Turing test was that three persons assistant uses voice queries in natural language, uses interface to answer questions, make recommendations, and perform actions by delegating requests to a set of internet services. The software adopts users' individual language usage, searches, and preferences with continuing use. Return results are individualized. Next, in 1997, we came with a very strange thing actually. Deep Blue versus Garry Kasparov. Garry Kasparov, all of you know, it was a chess player, chess champion. Basically, it was a world chess champion. So Deep Blue versus Garry Kasparov, chess champion in 1997. The match between these two, the first match was won by Garry Kasparov, and the second match was won by Deep Blue. So this was no ordinary game of chess. It is very uncommon for a defeated person to accuse their opponent of cheating. But in this case, the loser was their then world-class champion, the Garry Kasparov. The victory was even more unusual. IBM supercomputer Deep Blue. This computer was supercomputer that was named Deep Blue. Kasparov argued that computer must actually have controlled a real grandmaster, and his supporters believed that Deep Blue's playing was too human to be that of machine. In defeating Kasparov on May 1997, Deep Blue made history as first computer to beat a world champion in 6-game match under standard time controls. Yet the reality was that the Deep Blue's victory was precisely because of its rigid, unhuman-like commitment to cold, hard logic in face of Kasparov's emotional behavior. This wasn't artificial intelligence that demonstrated our own creative style of thinking and learning, but the application of simple rules on a grand scale. Now, in 2012, Siri, the infamous Apple iOS intelligent personal assistant, is one of the artificial intelligence highlights of 2012. So, men behind Siri, Sri International, originally founded Siri on speech interpretation and recognition interface Apple. The assistant uses voice queries and a numerical logic language user interface to answer questions, make recommendations, and perform actions by delegating requests to a set of internet actions. The service adapts to user individual language usage, searches, and will perform preferences with continuing use. Returned results are individualized. So we have now come to when the actual first computer was developed and when AI has come into picture. Now I want to tell you the basic definition of AI. What is AI? Now, AI, artificial intelligence, has basically two definitions, very simple definitions. One is static definition, another one is dynamic definition. Static definition is AI is a subfield of computer science in which research studies on simulating human thinking and behavior are done. And dynamic definition is achieving as much as possible of performing human thinking and behavior by computer-based system. So this scientist McCarthy said that science and engineering of making intelligent machines is basically what is called as AI. Now, I will tell you what are the different steps to master machine learning with data interpretation preparation. So these are the 6 steps basically. First step is to what is the main step is to gather the data collection. Once we are equipped and launched, it is time for real step of machine to gathering data. This step is very important. So as far as our data quality and quantity of data is not perfect, we will not come to the accuracy that we want in our machine learning process. In this case, the data we collect will be of any type. So next one is the preparation of data. A few hours of measurement later, we have gathered our training data. Now it is time for next step of the machine learning, that is data preparation, where we load our data into a stable place and prepare it for use in our machine learning testing. We will also need to split the data in 2 parts. The first part used in training of our model, and the second part is used for the testing of our trained model's performance. We don't want to use the same data that model was trained on the evaluation, since it could then just memorize the questions, just as you wouldn't see the same questions from the math homework on the exams. So whenever you are giving some exam, you are not using the same homework when we are preparing for the exams. So training data and the data preparation, training data and testing data is different for the machine learning. Sometimes the data we collect need other forms of adjustments and manipulations, things like normalization, error correction, and more. This would all happen all the data preparation step. In our case, we don't have further data preparation needs, so sometimes we don't need to have a adjustment and manipulation in our data. So after preparing the data, after taking the testing data and the training data, we next step is to choosing a model. Now it is very important which algorithm we are choosing.
Madam, actually, I need to talk to you regarding IG webinar, and that's
Oh, Professor Shirodeep, kindly unmute yourself.
you. Actually, I have.
So
Madam, kindly.
please unmute yourself. So
Yeah.
after gathering the data and after preparing the data, next step is to choose a model. This is again very important step, which algorithm and which model you are choosing for training your data. There are many models that researchers and data scientists have created over the years. Soon or well suited for image data, some for sequences, some for different applications. We have different type of algorithms available. So it is very important to find out which data is suitable for which algorithm is suitable for which amount of data. Now after choosing a model, then the next step is to training of the data. Now we move on to what is considered as bulk of machine learning, the training. In this step, we will use our data to incrementally improve our model's ability to predict whether a given thing is right or not. Next is the evaluation of the data. Once training is complete, it is time to see if model is any good using evaluation. This is whether the data set that we set aside earlier comes into play. Evaluation allows us to test our model against data set that has never been used. This metrics allow us to use how the model might perform against data set that has not been seen. This is meant the representation of how the model might work in the real world. So next is the hyperparameter tuning. So once you have done the evaluation, it is possible that you want to see if it can further improve we can further improve the training in future. So we can do this with the help of tuning our parameters. So tuning our parameters basically mean that we might change the algorithm which we are using, or we might change the learning rate which we are using. So we can increase or decrease the learning rate, or we may change the actually the algorithm which we are using. So next I want to tell you, if you want to develop a machine learning program, or if you want to really work in a machine learning, some points I want to discuss with you. That first of all, you should understand the math. it is nothing. If you don't know mathematics, if you don't know anything about the equations, if you don't know anything about the formula, you can't work in the machine learning. It doesn't mean that you remember the formula, or you remember the, like if you talk about a Euclidean distance, so you need not to remember the formula. You need to just understand what is the mathematics behind it. So just forget about the practical part first. You first go to the step number 1, that is understand the maths. Second step is you have to classify your data. Two types of data are available now. One is classification and another one is regression. So one is regression data is basically dealing with the numerical data, and classification is basically the logical data sets. Now we have to differentiate our data between the classification and regression. Now, after choosing our data, whether it is a regression or classification problem, next step is to step 3, that we have to choose an algorithm. How algorithm with the data all maths will work. So how we have to choose the algorithm, that which algorithm will go with which data. Like if we have a regression type of data, so we have to, which type of algorithm we have to choose. If we have a classification type of data, so which algorithm we have to choose. So next step is to which algorithm for which type of data. Then suppose some algorithms work for both type of data, some algorithm work for only one type of data. That's for example decision tree works for both type of data. So after doing this, after finding out the algorithm for the data, next step is to underfitting and overfitting problems. So this is very important step. Underfitting and overfitting, this is basically related to, you can say, parameter tuning. So you need to know the parameters of the system, like learning rate, all the things, weights of the neurons, need to know all the things, whether the curve is underfitting or overfitting. So you need to actually, this is very important, and you need to overcome this problem. Next, step number 5 is how to deal with the imbalanced data. Sometimes we have a data which is very imbalanced in nature. Sometimes the data which we needed comes in other form. So we have to deal with the imbalanced data also with this machine learning process. Now, step number 6, that is very important. That is outliner. So outliner is again the different data from the normal data set. So step number 7 is normalization and feature scaling. So normalization and feature scaling is sometimes not required in all types of problems. Actually, it requires in regression problems. So we have to identify whether we need a linearization and linearization of the model. So once you go through all the steps, then you go to the you go to the programming part. So many programming languages are available. Python is available for doing the machine learning. So first of all, you need to know about the language, about the mathematics, and then you if you follow these procedure that I have told you, that will be in your mind like a story, and you will never forget it before going to your machine learning problem. So next, we come to what is the actual key role of AI engineers, artificial engineers. So what is the key role of those engineers? So first is that to ensure that AI systems or infrastructures are implemented properly within an organization. So second step is that they work with companies to help them improve operations, products or software development and services delivery, among others. Third one is responsible for implementing machine learning, a process that involves to perform a specific task without explicitly programming on it. And fourth one is to update the systems for latest specifications to match functional requirement to customer needs. So I want to give you a brief about the subfields of AI before going to the application of AI. So we have first of all, we have ANN, artificial neural network. So artificial neural network is basically artificial neural network is interconnected group of nodes inspired by a simplification of neurons in a brain. That is basically inspired by the neurons in our brain, and these are connected in the same manners as the neurons in our brain are connected. And this is very complex structure. You can see a structure here. that we have a, this is a artificial neural network structure. We have input layer, we have hidden layer, and we have output layers, and weights are connected between input layer and output layer. Similarly, the weights are connected between the output layer and hidden layer. So here, if we talk about the parameter tuning, that actually means we want to change the weights, these weights that are going to affect our output. So basically these are interconnected like the neurons in our brain, and it is inspired by the that technology only. Each circular node represents an artificial neuron, and arrow represents a connection from the output of an artificial neuron to the input of the other neuron. And if this is the input we are giving to this, and this is the output we are getting by applying some function to it. So we are not getting, suppose we are not getting the target output. So first what we have to do, we have to either change the weights or either change the learning rate. So many you can say networks, artificial neural networks are available. Feed forward neural network, perceptron neural network, back propagation neural network. So all these networks basically based on same techniques, some difference is there. That is the calculation to change the weights of the these actually weights of the interconnection, which is connecting one layer to the another layer. So this is how we work, that x1 x2 are the, you can see here this x1 x2 x3 are the input neurons, and w1 w2 w3 are the weights assigned to these input neurons. And we apply some function here. We find out the first, we find out the output, and then we apply a function to find out the final output here. Next we continue with the subfields of AI, that is conventional neural network. Actually in neural network we have two types basically. In broadly, if I say, one is machine learning, another one is deep learning. So exactly what is the difference between machine learning and deep learning? So in machine learning, what we have to do, we have given an input, we have to extract the features of the input given to us, and then we have to classify the features. Like I have already told you the process how to do a machine learning program. Those who you extract the features and classify the feature, and then select the algorithm. All this is done in this classification part, algorithm part is done in, and finally we find out whether it is a car or not. So what is the difference in deep learning? Deep learning, we don't need to do any feature extraction. It takes it on, and all this is done in feature extraction and classification is done in same programming, and then it will tell you whether it is a car or not. Now again, the next subfield of AI is very important, that is fuzzy logic. Fuzzy logic is basically a method of reasoning that resembles human reasoning. The approach of fuzzy logic intimates the way of decision making in humans that involves all intermediate possibilities between digital values, yes or no. Fuzzy logic is basically a multi-valued system. If we talk about crisp logic and fuzzy logic, the difference in crisp logic and fuzzy logic is that crisp logic only works between 0 and 1. Whether a thing is, whether it is a we are a part of a thing or whether we are not a part. But fuzzy logic deals with the partial membership also. So like we are talking in a general term, it is very hot today. So hot is a linguistic variable which we are using in fuzzy logic basically. So the definition of hot may be different for different people. Like for me, hot will be 40 degree. Like for some other people, it may be 30 degrees. For some other people, it may be 50 degree. So fuzzy logic basically deals with the imprecise data, and it basically deals with the statements actually, and linguistic variables. Like hot is a linguistic variables. So crisp logic is basically a logic which is dealing with the binary logic, that is 0 and 1, whether it will, the thing is there or it will not be there, whether the element is part of a set or it is not a part of a set. But fuzzy logic is not like that. It can have some membership function in that part also, which crisp logic is not applying. So fuzzy logic basically deals with the imprecise data, and you know that most of the systems we are using are basically having very vague data and very imprecise data. So how to deal with the data? Fuzzy logic is the solution for those things, and Jeda is the discovered fuzzy logic first, and then we come to the genetic algorithms. Genetic algorithm is basically algorithm which is inspired by, is a search-based optimization technique based on principle of genetics and natural selection. It is frequently used to find optimal or near optimal solution to difficult problems which otherwise would take a lifetime to solve. It is basically inspired by the genes actually. So suppose we have a parent genes. So the parent's genes will come into the child. suppose that child is not having it's not solving our purpose, because we are not talking, we are talking about biological now. So we can, what it will do, it will change that I think it will change that children to with the help of mutation and crossover, and it will find out a new population. And how it works, the process of natural selection starts with the selection of fittest individual from a population. They produce offsprings which inherit the characteristics of parents and will add it to the next generation. If parents have better fitness, their offsprings will be better than parents and have a better chance at surviving. This process keeps on iterating at the end, and the generation with the fittest individual will be found. So whenever we are not reaching to the optimal solution, we are continuing the same step. We are mutating and we are crossovering the parents, and we are finding out the new offsprings till we reach to the optimal solution. So now we come to the basic actually main thing of the webinar, that is the application of artificial intelligence engineering. So many applications, artificial intelligence based on the problems. We have so many applications of artificial engineering. You can say optimal character recognition, handwriting recognition, speech recognition, face recognition, artificial creativity, computer vision, image processing, photo and video manipulation, diagnosis. In medical field now, it is widely used in medical field. You can see in case of COVID-19 also, machine learning has played a major part in finding out the forecast of COVID-19. Now it will be able to tell you how many patients will be there, how many COVID positive persons will be there in next 3 months or next 4 months, and so you can plan accordingly. And game theory, so you can say in all the games, basically artificial intelligence and machine learning is used. Game, artificial intelligence and computing techniques, robotics and control, and this is based on the field. So application of artificial intelligence, that is you can see automatic reasoning, automation, data mining, knowledge presentation, filtering, robotics, intelligent agents, intelligent control, litigation, oil and gas. Now, so in fact, the artificial intelligence has just entered into the application like COVID-19 into the community too deeply to categorize them into specific contaminants. So AI is too much hybrid in nature. It is now actually spread into the society as the COVID-19 is spreading. So without artificial intelligence or without machine learning, now I don't think that engineering at a very high level is possible. So uh, it helps in the forecasting of the things. So next, subfields of AI. So you can see here that these are the basic subfields of AI. Now AI is, machine learning is basically the part of AI, and deep learning is also basically part of AI, and it has some things matching with the machine learning. So deep learning is, you can say, advanced thing of machine learning. So electronics, robotics, data mining, image signal processing, communication, all these are basically the subfields of AI. And I've already told you how to deal with the data in machine learning, that is training, testing, and then find out and then do it in the application part. First the training is done and testing is done, then it is in the application part. Now AI is used in AI in the engineering in hardware. Think of robots in manufacturing facility and the software that controls them. Smart production lines are undoubtedly the future of manufacturing. Now, all AI engineers are capable of building machines that can replicate just about anything that humans can do. Perhaps one of the most notable examples of AI in engineering is in the field of automobile manufacturing. Initially, robots were able to perform simple engineering tasks that involved large movements. Today, these machines are capable of doing precision work, particularly handling the most intricate or detailed tasks. So now I'll be discussing detail the applications of AI, applications of artificial intelligence. So we'll go one by one of all these manufacturing, jobs and big data, how it helps in handling machine learning, how it helps in handling natural language processing, image processing, Internet of Things, blockchain and cryptocurrency technology. So first thing is the how it artificial intelligence is helpful or machine learning is helpful in manufacturing. So you can see very in many areas artificial intelligence, the role of artificial intelligence promises to allow us to develop machine capable of performing even more complicated manufacturing and even design tasks. So if you want, these are the various fields in which AI is helping in manufacturing companies. So first is the quality checks. So how AI is helping in manufacturing technologies in quality check. So quality check, some flaws in products are too small to be noticed with the naked eye. See, there are some flaws in the system, or in some flaws in the product that cannot be checked with the system engineer. So even if the inspector is very experienced, however, machines can be equipped with cameras many times more sensitive than our eyes, and thanks to that, detect even the smallest defects. Machine vision allows machine to see the products on the production line and spot any imperfections. The logical next step might be sending the pictures to set flaws to the human expert, but it is not a must everyone. The process can be fully automatic. So next is the prediction of failure modes. How AI helping in prediction of the failure modes. Products can fail in variety of ways. You can say anytime, any product can fail in the manufacturing industry. So products can fail in variety of ways. Irrespective of the visual inspection, a product that looks perfect may still break down after its first use. Sometimes we are not able to find out that sometimes when you bring some product at your home also, it looks perfectly okay. But before the first use or even after the first use, it breaks down. So it is very unnatural. You don't know even whether the product will go longer or whether it will fail after first use. So similarly, a product that looks flawed may still do its job perfectly well. So it is very vague in nature. Actually, we don't know actually the quality of products. So AI is basically helping in finding out the failure mode prediction. The way we observe objects and flaws is biased, and many things may be different that they seem. With vast amount of data on how products are tested and how they perform, AI can identify the areas that need to be given more attention in test. Basically, what is AI? AI and machine learning basically finding out the data. So more the data we are having from past, more we will be able to predict the future. So failure mode prediction can be predicted by AI and machine learning more efficiently and more accuracy than we do with our. So we are not able to find out the failure product or the product that may go longer if it looks like that. So based on the previous data or based on the previous things, AI and machine learning can help us to find out the failure mode prediction. Next one is the predictive maintenance. It allows companies to predict when machines need maintenance with high accuracy. Sometimes we are working on a machine and we are not able to know whether that machine needs maintenance or not with the human or a person which is working on it, and we are continuously working on it, and sometimes it breaks down. So machine learning or AI will help us to find out the when the machine is requiring a maintenance. It allows companies to predict when machines need maintenance with high accuracy instead of guessing or performing preventive maintenance. Predictive maintenance prevents unplanned downtime by using machine learning. Technologies such as sensors and advanced analytics embedded in manufacturing equipment enable predictive maintenance by responding to alerts and resolving machine issues. Predictive maintenance is highly already used by a number of companies, including manufacturers, including LG, Siemens, AG, CTO. Most of the companies are now using AI for their predictive maintenance. By analyzing the data, our artificial intelligence system can draw conclusions regarding a machine's condition and detect irregularities in order to make predictive maintenance possible. So it is very helpful in manufacturing companies. Sometimes we know that AI and machine learning application is only in computer or only in IT. No, it is not like that. This application of AI is now, it is very fast. It has spread all over the streams. You can say manufacturing, in medical, most of the people in medical streams are now using AI for their prediction, for their diagnosis, for their treatment of various diseases. So manufacture of a variety of products include electronics continues to damage the environment. How? Extraction of, now next we come to the environmental impact. So we know that manufacturing companies are damaging the environment by extraction of nickel, cobalt, and graphite for lithium batteries, increased production of plastic, huge energy consumption, e-waste, just to name a few. So there are so many things which these manufacturing companies are doing, and these are doing the impact on the environment. So however, we have the solution for that in AI also. So what we have, Global Environment Leadership Fellow, one Global Environment Leadership Fellow and lead at the World Economic Forum chain claims that AI could help to transform manufacturing by reducing or even reversing its environmental effect. AI can support developing new eco-friendly materials and help optimize energy efficiency. Google already uses AI to do that in its data centers. You know that all the things what we are searching in Google, basically that is all AI. So based on the data which is fed by the various people, it automatically, whenever you are pressing, sometimes you are going for a shopping, Amazon, anything, whenever you are going for a shopping, whenever you press a thing like I want to buy a shirt, so it will give you all the options automatically. Now how it is giving these options? It is basically based on the previous data, previous shopping that is done by various people around it. So it is gathering the data from that, and then it is actually knowing with the what is the demand of the people actually, and based on that demand it automatically showing you the various options, and you can choose among those options. And now it is very easy for us to do shopping online because of these, because of AI only. So next we come to manufacturing. Next we come to price forecast. To manufacture products, you first need to purchase the necessary resources, and sometimes the try gets a little crazy. For example, if you buy stainless steel, its price is affected by various factors, including the listing of metal exchange or the price of other elements. Some of them are not listed on metal exchange. With the rapid changes in prices, sometimes it may hard to assess whether it is the best time to buy resources. So knowing the price of resource is also necessary for companies to estimate the price of their product when it is ready to leave the factory. So price forecasting is a major thing in the manufacturing company. So they need to know the price forecast before buying anything. So suppose I have given the example of buying a stainless steel. So let us stick to an example of stainless steel. The price can vary depending on the current listing, of example, nickel or price of ferrochrome. The system is able to provide accurate price recommendation, just like in case of dynamic pricing that is used by e-commerce businessmen like Amazon, where machine learning algorithms analyze historical and competitive data to always offer competitive prices and make more even profit. So here also you can see that in all areas, even in price forecasting, AI and machine learning is helping us in so much fruitful ways where the we as a human are not able to do. So it will also tell us about the price forecast. So whether the prices of a particular thing are going to increase or whether the prices are going to decrease. So accordingly we can make our choices, and we can buy the products for the uh, buy products for our manufacturing company. So any other company we can buy the things well advanced, and we can keep the things in stock well advanced by knowing the price forecast. If we know, if we have the price forecast for all these things, we can buy the things in advance so that we can avoid all these things in future. Next, it is also helpful in customer service also. So when you think about customer service, what industry come to you in mind? Hospitality, retail, banking, etc. They deal with the customers directly. So customer service is a huge part of their business. In manufacturing, however, the importance of customer service is often overlooked, which is mistake, as lost customers can mean billions of dollars in lost sales. So manufacturing companies, what manufacturing companies motto is, they don't sometimes look into the matter of customers. They sometimes lose the importance of customer. So it is not looked in properly, the customer, what customer actually want. So which is actually the loss of customer by so many millions of dollars. AI solution can analyze the behavior of customers to identify patterns and predict future outcomes. Observing actual customers' behavior, if we have a perfect type of customer, or if we want to make the customer, so we have to actually, what we have to do? We have to basically analyze the customer behavior first, then only we can do the manufacturing part actually. That manufacturing industries or any other mechanical industry, any other industry, basically is what is it? Basically need to know the customer demand. So what customer need actually? So observing actual customer behavior allows company to better answer their needs. So if we know the customer demand or in advance, we can better plan our products actually. In 2018, the Nokia unveiled the latest version of its content analytic for customer insight software, providing powerful new capabilities so service provider, business, IT, and engineering organization can consistently developing a superior real-time and personalized customer experience. The software allows service providers to quickly identify issues and prioritize improvements. There is a variety of ways artificial intelligence can improve customer service. So we can basically the application of AI and machine learning is very vast in manufacturing technology. I have told you so many things. How it can do the quality check, how it can do the failure mode prediction, how it can do the prices forecast, how it can do the predictive maintenance. It can tell us whether which machine needs maintenance in advance, so that we can prepare the things. How it can reduce the environmental impact, and how it can help us in the improving our customer service. That is the base for any company. So this is how this is helpful in manufacturing. Now AI is very helpful in jobs and big data. Actually, AI is very helpful in creating new methods for analyzing data. So sometimes the data is very big, so we are not able to handle it. So what to do then? One of the fundamental business problems of big data could sometimes be summarized with simple question: now what? If we are having a big data, now what to do? Now what? As in, we have got all this stuff, that is the technical term for it, and plenty more of it's coming. So what to do and what to do with it? In the once defining buzz around big data, it was not always easy to hear the answers to these questions. So whenever the data, we have a large amount of data, we had a large amount of inaccurate data, we had large amount of, I have told you already, there are some data which is not relevant. So how to deal with that data? So moreover, answering that question or delivering insight from your data usually required a lot of manual effort. If we are doing this thing manually, so it required a lot of manual effort actually. For if we want to separate the data, I have already told you that there are various types of data: regression type of data, analytical type of data. So we have to categorize the data. So if we are doing it manually, so it is lots of human effort is required. AI is creating new methods for doing so. In a sense, AI and machine learning are the new methods, broadly speaking, to analyze these types of data and to handle these types of data basically. As a result, managing and analyzing data depends less on time consuming manual effort than in past. People still play a vital role in data management and analytics, but processes that might have taken days or weeks now are picking speed thanks to AI for all these. So AI is very efficient in handling a big amount of data. Actually, human was doing all this prior also, but it was taking too much time for human to do this, too much time for human to handle the data, too much time for human to program the data, too much time to find out the solution for that data and to improve ourselves. Now with the help of AI and machine learning, this can be done in a days or in a week. So all these credit goes to AI and machine learning. So as a result, managing and analyzing data analytics is becoming labor intense. As a result, managing and analyzing data depends less on time-consuming manual effort than in past. So AI and machine learning, that tools that help a company analyze their data more quickly and efficiently than what could be done by companies. So AI and machine learning, among other emerging technologies, are critical to helping businessmen have a more holistic view of all that data, providing them with a way to make connections between key data sets. Tutik says, but she adds, it is not a matter of cutting out human intelligence and insight. So human still matters a plenty. So it is the human that is now able to develop the algorithm. We have to think now. I have already told you how to use AI in machine learning for your specific problem. First, you have to analyze the data, then you have to analyze the algorithm, then you have to analyze, then you have to deal with so many problems that are coming, like inaccurate data, and tuning of the parameters has to be done, and sometimes linearization is not required. So these things all are human doing. So human now, still human matter a plenty in this type. So next we machine learning. Machine learning is the study of exactly how machines learn. The ultimate goal of artificial intelligence isn't just to have machines that can learn, but to have machines that are capable of self-analysis also. Such a machine could access the efficiency of its learning method and so refine its processes to much greater degree. So machine learning takes this process to the next level. With machine learning, the data collected by all robots, suppose we are working with a robot, so what machine learning will do, it will collect the data collected by all robots involved in production, can be pulled together with a central AI to control each one. It can learn which problems are most likely to appear. AI and machine learning, among other So this is very important. So machine learning is now actually we are going to machines are behaving actually the human behave, and it is learning self-learning with the previous data. So next we come to natural language processing. Now natural language processing, on for short, is a broadly defined as the automatic manipulation of natural language like speech and text by software. NLP is a field of study dedicated to improving the knowledge of human and machines to communicate. In particular, it aims to improve the sophistication with which machines can respond to human voice. Like with machine learning, NLP makes heavy use of large data sets and algorithms-based learning. NLP uses perceptual, behavioral, and communication techniques to make it easier for people to change their thoughts and actions. So next, how the artificial intelligence and machine learning is helpful in image processing. In image processing, it is having a very vast, I think you can say, uh, application of machine learning. So how we see an image? Basically, when humans see an image, it is because light is entering into the eye and being converted into electric signal. This signal is then carried to the brain via the optical nerve. The brain turns the electronic signal into an image, and it is this we image see. How now machine learning helps us in this way? Machine works in the similar manner. We can set up a camera in order to record an image, and we can display this image to a user. However, this is not the same as the machine understanding the image. With image processing algorithm, we can have machine analyze that they can see and react accordingly. From an engineering perspective, this means we could have machines which are able to identify structural abnormalities and other issues that have identifiable visible signs. Modern AI applied to image processing can help you implement face recognition functionalities, detect and recognize images and actions in images and videos, run visual search, and so on. We also take a look at the most popular neural network used for different image processing tasks. So the business need to combine with the power of human intuition with machine intelligence to argue these technologies or augmented intelligence. More specifically, an AI system need to learn from data as well as from humans in order to able to fulfill its function to it says. So it is both AI. What is AI? AI is basically need to learn from the data. So the data, which will provide the data? Actually, the human is providing the data, na? So AI is basically need to learn from the data from itself, and it is finding out the future things. So as well as from the humans also. So basically, the brain that is working is the human brain, and it is converting it into the algorithms based on several algorithms of machine learning, and to do the things more accurately and in lesser time basically. So it is less time consuming, and as I already told you, the things which will be which a man is able to do within a months or years with the help of AI in machine learning, we can do it in days or weeks. So this is how the AI is applied. So we can't even say that the human is not having any role in it. So it's a combination. The machine learning is basically learning from the data, and it is a combination of both the things, human brain and the data which we are providing to the machine. If the data we are providing to the machine is not correct, so how will it give the accurate result? So basically, the first thing is the data provided to data should be accurate, and it should be very specific to the specific oriented problem. So if it's not specific, or it is not suitable for the specific oriented problem, then it will not work. So basically, the first task is of human, and then come to the machine learning, and then come to the algorithm part. That is the next stage. So we can't ignore the capabilities of human in this also. So what would be the practical application of machine learning look like? Well, imagine if every one of those robots arms you're putting cars together contained a tiny camera. Each arm could then look over the work of previous robots along assembly line. If they identify an issue, then they could formulate a solution. So these are the great things which AI and machine learning is doing. And they can combine the things, they can combine all the robots, the robotic arms, and make a program themselves and make the robots work accordingly. So next is Internet of Things, and this is, I think, most of the emerging things nowadays with the machine learning. Internet of Things. Internet of Things is an emerging topic of technical, social, and economical significance. Consumer product, durable goods, cars, in every field, Internet of Things is now using, and it is using industry and utility components, sensors, and other everyday objects are being combined with internet connectivity and powerful data analytical capabilities. So now what is Internet of Things? Internet of Things is basically a hypothetical network which connect everyday devices and things together in the same way the internet connects computers. जैसे कि we are connecting the computers to make an internet. In the same way, Internet of Things. What Internet of Things is basically? Internet of Things is basically combining the devices, allowing the various devices in our lives to collect and share data, which would open up some exciting new possibilities. As the Internet of Things gradually become a reality, it will increasingly become something that engineers consider during the design process. With the Internet of Things as a reality, the virtuality endless number of ways that we can connect devices and have them work together will allow new and innovative solutions to many problems. So next thing is blockchain and cryptocurrency technology, how the AI and machine learning is helpful in this. A fantastic illustration of how innovative use of AI can affect cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology is Magnus Collective. They comprise a decentralized network of AIs, including sensors, hardwares, computers, robots, and humans. It is a hybrid token, might be an evolution of ICO concept. As our methods of collecting and analyzing large data sets become more refined, we are able to unlock the full potential of big data and algorithms learning. Big data can allow for objective detailed comparison of how similar the current environment to ones where the solution had been used before. This is relatively simple when we use big analytical techniques, but would be long and expensive process to complete otherwise. Now I would like to share something for the students and for all the participants. And whenever you have to use a AI technique or a machine learning algorithm in your specific problem, like this is not like you just do it with the open a Python and make the programming. This is not the actual way of doing it. I already told you that first you have to go to your problem. You need to first identify your problem. It is a problem specific. Suppose your problem is in image processing. Suppose your problem is in control problem. Suppose your problem is some like drives related problem. Suppose it is in medical related problem. So you need to find out first your problem. What you have to first define your problem. Then after defining your problem, you have to collect the data according to your problem. And then after collecting the data, you have to train the data first. And for training the data, we have different algorithms with us. Then you have to choose which is the best one algorithm for your specific problem. After choosing the best algorithm for your specific problem, then some mathematics is required, like basic mathematics are required, how to do the calculations, and obviously some language is required to learn after that, Python language, or you can do in some other platform also. So you can do the programming in that, and then you can apply your specific problem in that specific algorithm, and then you can find out the output. And I have told you that artificial neural network are basically working on this, basically working on the human mind, and they are using many algorithms. Like if you talk about VPN, back propagation network, what it is doing, it is actually taking a data, input data, and we are finding out the output. Now we are having a target output. What should be my output? Then after we are having a target output, if you are not getting that output, it will the error will go back to the hidden layer. Then it automatically the weights are updated. After updation of the weights, then again it will calculate the output. If it is the output is not again the with the same accuracy we want, again the error will be back propagated. So in this way, like VPN algorithm works. So there are various algorithms which are working for the machine learning. There are various languages which have come through. So my suggestions are, first of all, you have to learn about the philosophy of AI and its essentials. As I have already told you, you need to know about what is basically AI and what is basically application of AI in your field. It is not like random. You are learning AI and you're using it randomly. It is not like that. You have to know the philosophy of AI and its essentials. Then you have to learn algorithm details of AI techniques. So you have to learn the algorithm details. Some algorithms you need to learn and apply to your specific problem. And you have to learn to write codes also. So it is not like do not use library directly. Some things, if we talk about Python, its library is very vast. Uh, there are NumPy, there are pandas, so many things are available in library, and they can do the things faster. But you have to write your codes also, and so as to learn the things. Basically, don't use it directly, so you won't be able to learn the things then. So learn some learn some about supporting technologies also. It is not like that if I am working on fuzzy logic, so I should not be comfortable in ANN, or I should not know anything about genetic algorithm. It is not like that. You need to learn about the supportive technologies also. You need to learn about the supportive languages also if you are working in some particular language. So learn about data science, statistics. आपको ये भी you should also know about the how to collect the data, how to use the data, and how to use your data set and in your specific problem. So learn about some mathematical and logics also. And I've already told you, Sam, that some mathematics is also required, some logics are also required in that. Before that, without that, you won't be able to work in machine learning. Mathematics doesn't mean that you learn the formula or you learn the things, but you should learn about the formula and how it is working. What is actually is the formula, and what actually is the equation, basically. So choose subfields to working. You can choose the subfields. You can have a major, like you have a main field, and you can choose the subfields of this. Where suppose you're electronic engineer, you can work on image processing, and you can use AI in the image processing. You can use AI in the speech recognition. You can, if you are a mechanical engineer, you can work in, like I already told you, in manufacturing industries. You can choose any of the things. You can work on price forecast. You can work on customer demand. You can work on the failure of the machine. You can work on anything. You can choose the subfield. So choose a field, and out of that choose a subfield which you want to work upon, and then see what things are required, or actually the data set is required for that purpose. Mainly the first thing is the collection of the data. If the data is collected accurately, or it is good accurate, then you can work further. So join to events, training programs, and online courses. You have to join the events and training programs. Some online courses are there. Some Python program courses are there online. Some training programs are going on all over the world on AI and machine learning. So you have to join all this. It is not like that I don't need to join all these courses. I am perfect in all this. No, you need to join the training programs and online courses to make your things better, to learn about the algorithm and learn about the things more better. So you need to read about AI, newspapers, videos, blogs, news, etc. What is going on in AI? What is the latest going on in AI? As I already told you that in COVID-19 forecast, AI and machine learning helped a lot in scientists have helped a lot in medical science, how to about the forecasting of this COVID-19. What will be the number of patients in June, in July, so then we can prepare ourselves. We can better make the planning of our medical facilities. We can better take the precautions. Like it is very useful in all these things. So you need to read about all these things, what is going currently in this type. So you need to read about the publications also. So what are the publications which are going on here? So basic publications of AI, some good papers you need to actually read, some IEEE papers about AI, which is going on all around about AI. And you have to exactly follow some famous scientists. Some scientists, they have worked upon AI and machine learning so long. We have to follow those scientists. Don't do your own things. Learn about the things first. Learn about the algorithms first. Learn about the how to use a particular algorithm in a particular problem. If you are using a wrong algorithm in your problem, then it will not work. So many algorithms are there. It is very vast. It is not like that ki, I have attended a session and I am becoming master in AI. Nothing like that. So you need to know about all the things, which algorithm will work in which specific problem. That is the main thing. If you have chosen the right algorithm, then you are going to the right direction. This is the basic thing. then again you have to face various problems while working with AI and machine learning. You have to deal with so many encrypted data, so many imbalanced data, so many data which is not required. So we have to handle with these data, and we should know how to handle with these data actually, and we have to do it in programming actually. So AI and machine learning applications are now vastly increasing in, I can say, in each and every field. In my field also, electrical engineering, I can do a various lots of things in AI. Uh, I can use it in smart grid, microgrid, machine learning. IoT can be used in various things where all the devices, with many devices are connected together to work simultaneously as the computers are working together. Earlier we were talking about the internet of it. Earlier we were talking about the internet only. Internet basically means that 7-8 devices are connected together and they are working with each other. Now we are talking about Internet of Things. The scenario has changed completely in the last few years. So we are talking about Internet of Things. Internet of Things means we are connecting sensors, detectors, all the things together and work them and make them work efficiently and accurately in a very nice manner. As I have told you that if you take example of in robotics, what we have robots, and we can make them to work accordingly by making programming in them, and by we can make the robots work together, 3-4 robots or many lot of robots to work together. We can club them, we can connect them. Suppose we some fire is there, some man goes and do the things. Actually this should not be done. We should have a robots for this. So new technology will come when robots will go to as will work as a fire extinguisher and all these things. So these things are coming actually nowadays. These things are coming with AI and machine learning and applications in engineering vastly. And now it is not confined to an area that is computer engineering or IT engineering. It has now globally spread now, like I have already told you, it is spread like COVID-19. That is nobody will be as an engineer, nobody will grow without the knowledge of machine learning or AI and how to use AI and machine learning in your specific problem and in your sequences. So I want to stop my session here, and any questions you can ask, any questions from the audience you can ask here, and you can contact me through mail also. And anything you want to ask about machine learning, you can contact me through mail. Any idea about the algorithm, any idea about how I can use my specific problem with the help of machine learning, I can solve it, my specific problem. Your queries are welcome always. And
Thank you, madam. It was
thanks.
a very
Thanks.
engaging session. Actually, there are some questions in the question box, so I will
Okay.
read out those questions for you. Firstly,
Yeah.
Mr. Nikhil Dev, he has started this discussion by saying that it is our pleasure to listen to you again, listen to Anju madam again. So that is the first thing that was wrote in the comment box or the questions box today. The question that came up as the first question I would ask, I would read out. Komal Arora, he has written, what should be the first basic approach to start to collaborate biology with AI for a biotechnology student?
Biotechnology is basically, sir, a branch which is related to biology. So I have told you earlier that the first thing you have to do is the collection of data related to your specific problem. Basically, biotechnology, in which area you want to work, you have to collect the data first, and then you can go ahead with the things. And in technical terms, I can say biotechnology is related to medical field, and you can basically, to start with, you have to first specify your problem, actually which area you want to work about. And after specifying your problem, then you can collect the data, and you have to basically collect the data, and it should be accurate first of all. Then you can go to your specific problem. Any problem, I have already told you, any problem, any specific problem in which you want to use your machine learning or AI, you should be very specific about the your problem. Suppose we are using equation and I want to use equation, then I should be very specific which parameters I want to do. So there are some parameters which need to find out for any problem, for any specific problem actually, sir. So whether it is a biotech problem, whether it is a environmental problem, whether it is a mechanical problem, whether it is related to electrical problem, so we have to be very need to find out the parameters first. First of all, you need to find out the parameters, and then based on that parameters, you need to collect the data, previous data from previous publications or previous things, and then you can apply your machine learning by applying some algorithm. Basically, this is the base for all. You need to be problem specific about it, and you need to be what specific you want to do basically in machine learning.
Okay. So
Yeah.
another question she has got: can genetic algorithm be applied to non-hereditary disorders? If yes, then how?
Non-heredital disorders, genetic algorithm is basically based on hereditary. It is based on basically production of offsprings from the parents basically. So it is inherited from the parents, right? So whenever we are using genetic algorithm, we are initially we are generating a random population, right? The population is initially random. Then based on that and random population, we make the calculations. We have some fitness function and we make the calculation, and then we find out the our fitness function. If its fitness function is not accurate, it will again go to that process mutation and crossover, and it will find out the new offsprings based on your parent offsprings. So it is basically inherited from the parents, and we are working on the parents to find out the new offsprings, and from new offsprings we are again finding out the new child, and we are doing the mutation and crossover, and we are doing we are applying the optimization equation to that to find out the output basically. So I think it is hereditary. It is based on the hereditary basically. It is going from the parent to children. Just say some of the things which are going to from parent to children. There are some things which are not inherited. So the offsprings can be created randomly. But if it is not perfectly for our solution, then we can make our new offsprings with the help of mutation and crossover. That is the possibility. That can be the possibility there, na? So it can be the population is randomly generated. It is not like that inherited, it is randomly generated, but we can do the mutation and crossover to you can say improve the next population. Like nowadays you can see that children are also born artificially. You can see this thing. So it may not be inheriting the properties of some of the properties of the parents. So the population is initially generated randomly in this genetic algorithm.
Okay, so I'm quite
Yeah.
sure you have got your answer. Another question from Madam Ria Sen: how is machine learning related to artificial intelligence? We have
Artificial intelligence is basically the broad area. You can say artificial intelligence is basically a broad area. Artificial intelligence is having many subfields. Like I have told you that it is having fuzzy logic, it is having genetic algorithm, it is having artificial neural network. Machine learning is a part of artificial intelligence in which machines are made to learn from the human intelligence to work like human and based on the certain algorithms. Similarly, you can say deep learning is an advanced version of machine learning in which we need not to feed the data. It will automatically do the things. It will automatically, like I have shared you one slide, that it will automatically, just a minute. So you can say the subfields like, so AI is basically the broad area. Machine learning is just a part of AI. AI is artificial intelligence, which include fuzzy, genetic, neural network, cybernetics, communication. All the things are included in AI. But machine learning is basically, you can say from this, this is the yellow is the, sorry, this yellow you can say is the AI. All this is basically AI, and machine learning is basically a field of AI, subfield of AI. Artificial intelligence means that intelligence that is artificially created, right? So human, it behaves like human. We have intelligence. So AI is basically artificially created intelligence like humans and work like human. And machine learning is basically a branch of AI that is basically making a machines that are acting like human and acting itself, learning itself, and giving the accurate results with lesser time than human. This is the basic difference. AI is a broad area and machine learning is a part of AI, you can say.
Okay.
And deep learning is basically the advanced thing of AI, in which there is no data, like I discussed this thing. Yes, this is the difference between machine learning and deep learning actually. So deep learning is basically feature extraction is not required, is deep learning, whereas we need to give the features of a car. If I give an input as a car, I need to tell about the features of the car, whether it is this, whether designing is this. Based on that features, it will extract the feature, and it will with the help of some algorithms, with the help of some classification, clustering algorithms, it will find out the output whether it is a car or not. If the features are not matching with the previous feeded feature to it, it will say it is not a car, right? But if the features are matching with the previous feed features, it will tell it is a car. But in deep learning, this part is skipped. Feature extraction is not there, so this is combined in one part, and it itself do the things. Itself learns the things, and itself it will tell the things whether it is a this thing is similar to the input or not, output or not. So machine learning is basically, you can say, is a subfield of artificial intelligence, I must say.
Okay.
Is
Thank you, ma'am.
is
There
that
are two
related?
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she has got the answer. There are two questions from Professor Vishal Kumar Pandey. I will read out both the questions together because that might help you to take it togetherly. So the first question from Professor Vishal Pandey is, ma'am, how do we categorize supervised and unsupervised machine learning application wise? So that is the first question. The second question is, as you have explained in the PPT, deep learning does not need feature selection, whereas machine learning needs. So in all applications, can we apply deep learning in place of machine learning?
Actually, in all applications, we can't apply deep learning, because as we are doing the same thing, feature extraction and all this in one thing, it will increase the complexity. So it is based on our actually specific problem whether we have to go for deep learning. See, if you are combining the things together, if you are using advanced version, the programming will be complex accordingly, right? And see, you have to use some advanced things of programming. So programming will be more complex, and you can say you may not be getting some more accuracy. So if there is a need of using deep learning, then only we use deep learning. Otherwise, machine learning will be saving our time as well as the complexity of the problem. As far as supervised learning is concerned, supervised learning basically learns from the data actually, right? It takes the data and it learns from the previous data, and based on the previous data, it finds out the results whether the thing is that matches with this or not. In unsupervised learning, there is no need to give the it learns from its own, right? It is related to, basically you can say it learns from its own, basically related to deep learning. So whether it is depends on your problem, it is problem specific. If it can work, if machine learning can work on a specific problem, or some language is working on a specific problem, we can go for machine learning. And deep learning is something more advanced, and you need to go for more advanced algorithms and more advanced I think mathematical operators and more advanced things to go for the deep learning. So basically, it depends on your problem, and not all problems are solved by machine learning. Then we go for deep learning, basically. So deep learning and machine learning are basically the, you can say, more or less the same. These subfields of AI, but little bit difference in the algorithm, little bit difference in the programming style, little bit difference in their how to go to the solution, and so some problems which some complex problems which cannot be solved with the help of machine learning, or taking a bit long time, or we cannot extract the features by ourselves. So suppose I don't know the features, so it is already given in the deep learning, so we can use deep learning in there. But if I can find out the features, if I very easily, I can use machine learning in my problem, because it will be saving the time and will be less complex as compared to deep learning. We are, as we are going to the more complex algorithms, more complex things, the algorithms are going to be more complex, and it will be time consuming also, right? So this is the things actually go with the deep learning and machine learning. So basically you need to know, first need to go through the artificial intelligence. If you are a student, first need to go to learn about the fuzzy logic, artificial neural network. Artificial neural network is something related to machine learning. So artificial neural network, like we give the data and we have the we have the layers in between, and it automatically changes the weight according to your target solution, and it automatically changes the learning rate according to your target solution. And you have some curve fitting techniques also. In MATLAB also you have some various options, curve fitting options, regression techniques for solving the regression problems. I told you 2 types of problems. So you can go to the basics first of machine learning, and how the data can be extracted, and how a particular algorithm is used with the given things in MATLAB actually. Then you can go further to the deep learning and all these things. So basic of AI basically start with neural network, fuzzy logic, and genetic. Then comes machine learning, and then comes deep learning, I think. So deep learning is actually not my area right now. So I'm generally working on this artificial intelligence and machine learning. So I think
so that was the second question which you answered. So is have you covered that? How do we categorize supervised and unsupervised machine learning application wise?
so supervised and unsupervised machine learning applications, I told that supervised applications we need to we have to feed the data, and we have to keep that it learns from the data which is given to us, right? So as such we cannot categorize. As far as the applications are concerned, we categorize only the problems as a regression type problem, or a whether a numerical type problem or analytical type problem. So based on these 2 types of problems, we generally choose our algorithm. Sometimes we do not choose our algorithm based on unsupervised learning and supervised learning. These are basically 2 types of learning processes. Third one is reinforced learning, you can say. These are basically the learning processing in artificial neural network. How the system is learning from the given data. That is basically the learning process. But if you want to work in machine learning, you need to categorize the data by with the help of the data, type of the data, basically, whether it is in the numeric data, whether we have a string data, whether we have a different type of data. So we have to categorize like it, and we have to do the data in the clustering form. So basically, if you want to do a use it for a specific application, that is basically based on categorize the data, depend upon your uh, uh, data set, actually the problem, which type of problem you have. These 3 types of learning, supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforced learning, are basically how the system, how the machine learning is learning from the system actually. This is nothing to do. So machine learning, supervised learning, we have to given the set of data so that it can learn it from the data itself. Unsupervised learning is learning from the, some algorithms are more advanced, algorithms are there, so it can learn from its own, from the data itself it is given. So like this is the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning, I think. So, the problem is specified, problem is differentiated according to whether it is a numeric data, whether it is a different type of data, and accordingly you choose your algorithm based on your data type, basically. This is basically a type of learning in artificial neural network, how the neural network is learning by itself, like a human being, how we are learning the things. A person is learning by different things. I am learning from different things. So this is basically how we are learning, actually. This is the different type of learnings which are categorized as supervised learning and unsupervised learning, basically.
Okay.
So I think, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, madam. There are three more questions in the question box. Would you like to take all the 3, madam? Or
Okay.
like one question is from Professor Arun Kumar Chatterjee. He is a professor of mechanical engineering. He asks, I will be grateful to get the names of some self-learning books for learning at a slow pace. or he's a mathematician actually, Arun Kumar
Okay.
Chatterjee. The names of some self-learning.
Basically, first of all, if you want to learn machine learning, you have to learn AI basically. First of all, artificial intelligence you need to learn. What is artificial intelligence and how the intelligence is created basically, and how the learning is done in AI basically. So you have some basic books like Shivanandan Artificial Intelligence, and you can find nowadays there are so many things available on, so many videos are available. I can share you the links later on. So many videos, so many links are available to learn the things at a very small pace, you can say. So first of all, you have to go systematically, as I already told you. First of all, you should know how to collect the data. If you don't know this thing, you cannot go to the algorithm directly, or you cannot go to the machine learning directly. So first of all, you should know how to gather my data for a problem, for a specific problem. If you are a mechanical engineer, if you are working in a manufacturing thing, or I have told you so many applications of AI in mechanical manufacturing. So first of all, you should know what is my problem and how to collect the data related to my specific problem. So there are so many links and tutorials available. I can share you the links after this. I will share it to the Chiradev, and you can take it afterwards from that. So I will share the links after that. So many videos are available. So you have to be problem specific first actually. So no need to hurry, no need to go directly to the Python. Sometimes we think, oh, this is going on very vastly, very in a very speedily manner. So how can I cooperate with this? So I directly go to the Python. So this is not the actual practice actually. First of all, you should do the basic things. You should know how to collect the data for a specific problem. You have to, suppose COVID-19 may you have seen that the scientists who have done the forecasting of COVID-19, what they have done, they have collected the data from different countries, from USA, from China, from India, you can say, and from other countries, where it spread you can say so speedily in March and in April. They collected the data and they collected certain like symptoms of COVID, and they collected the data of various. The data is not like it is in you can say in hundreds, or you can say it in 1 or 10. It is in lakhs. You can collect the data. So many big data you can do in machine learning. So they have collected the data and they have selected proper algorithm, and then they go to the forecasting of the things, that how the COVID will take its shape in May or June, or in India, how will. So many publications have been done in last 3 months, you can say, in COVID-19 case. So it is not like that these people are not working before on that. They have worked, they have been working since years. Like I am not sure whether just I am a learner. Suppose I am a learner. I want to do the analysis of COVID-19 forecast. I can't do it right now. I can't do it within 3-4 days. This is not possible. So you have to go in a very slow pace, as the sir said that how they can learn the things with a very slow pace. So slow and steady always wins the race. You all know that we have to go very slowly and steadily. If you are new to this field, you first have to learn something basics of this, and then based on the publications I have already told you, read the publications and how the people have done the work. Attend some webinars, attend some FDPs online, because the things are going online and it is going in a very many you can say huge manner. I'm already attending almost one webinar in a day, you can say 3-4 webinars I attend in a week. So you can attend webinars. So many webinars are going on machine learning. Last 2-3 days I attended a webinar on COVID-19 forecast. So the things will be very much clear to you after attending the webinars and after attending the seminars and after seeing the YouTube lectures. So go on a very small pace if you are new to this field. And first of all, you need to study AI, basically base of AI. What is AI and how the things are created in ANN, and how the things are used in fuzzy logic, and in which specific area, which specific type of AI technique I have to use. Suppose I have to use a fuzzy logic technique and I am using ANN in this. So there is no logic in that, na? So first of all, I need to identify which technique is going to help me in that. Suppose my data is very vague and it is very inaccurate, so I will go for fuzzy logic first. I will see the results are coming. So if I see, if I do it in a trial base, so what I am doing, I am just wasting my time. Suppose this problem has to be solved by ANN, or has to be solved by genetics, or has to be solved by machine learning. And if I am doing it with the fuzzy logic, this is nothing. I am just wasting my few months on it. So nothing. So don't go in a random manner. You need to be first need to know your specific problem and specific algorithm to solve that problem. If you're not doing this, you're going in the wrong direction. Yeah, you're just wasting your time 3-4 months, and you will come to the same place again. So don't be in hurry and attend webinars. These are very beneficial. COVID-19 forecast webinars are going on. How to do forecasting using machine learning, and how to use ANN in forecasting. There are so many data, so many tutorials, so many videos, so many webinars are going on. I'll share some links that are very simple and manner. I'll definitely share some links with Chiradeep for this thing. So this is very, you can say, is a slow and steady, I think, process. ऐसा नहीं है कि you can just jump to the programming part. This is not the solution for your problem. First identify your problem, and first identify the algorithm you have to choose for your problem, and then you find out collect the data for your problem. If you go for machine learning, then you have to train the data. There are so many problems which will you come arise. I have told you some imbalanced data is there, whether linearization is required or there. Some underfitting curves will come to your picture, some overfitting curves, and that are related to the parameters. So first thing is there, the parameter of your problems need to be specified very accurately, and data is to be very accurate. Two things are very accurate whenever you are working in machine learning or AI. Data should be very accurate and very specific to your problems. Suppose I am working on some problem. Suppose I am working on to control problem. So I collect the data that is not related to control. How it will help me? It will just wasting my memory now. It is just wasting my time and memory, and it is just irrelevant data. So that will not work. That will not work in your algorithm. So you have to first be very accurate while collecting the data, and be very accurate while setting your parameters. If you are working on a machine, you need to set the parameters very accurately. You need to set the learning rate very accurately. So if learning rate is very high, then also it will go to some inaccurate results. If learning rate is very low, so you need not to learn these things step by step, how to use a machine learning or how to use AI in your specific problem. That is the only thing required in starting. Then only then you can go to your problem and you can do the things very accurately. So there are numerous, I think, vast number of videos available. I will share some videos which I have seen, very simple videos, and very problem specific videos also. If you want to have some problem specific video, if you want to see some problem specific videos, I can share this thing also with the Chiradeep, and then you can send to your whosoever wants this.
Thank you, madam. There are the two questions I was talking about. Is actually
Yeah.
quite similar. Firstly, what is the difference? How do we know that a problem is AI or machine learning problem? Number one. And number two is, which programming languages are the best for programming in AI and ML? Both are from Professor Pandey again.
Yeah, sir. Actually, why that's what I told you, that there are so many programming languages are coming. Python, I think, is coming for the machine learning very vastly. There are something available in MATLAB also for doing machine learning. You can have the data with you, and you can work with the data, and you can do some algorithms which are already in their MATLAB. Regression algorithms are there in MATLAB, and you can apply your small problems to them, and you can learn the things from MATLAB also. There are some algorithms which given in MATLAB also, and Python is, I think, I am learning Python nowadays, and first you learn the algorithms, and then you can go to the machine learning. Basically, first you have to study about the algorithms, how the programming. You should know, you should have a command on the programming language first of all, I tell you. So you should choose a programming language. So many programming languages are there in the nowadays. For this, you can have this idea on the net also, many programming languages. So Python is, I think, is the easiest programming language for this, as far as I know. It is very user friendly. It is nothing like about C and C++. It has its own library, and you can use the library directly, and you can make your own codes also in this. So it is very easy. Uh, People are working on it nowadays. Most of the people are working on it. So in MATLAB also you can work. And as you told, then how you can differentiate between the AI problem and machine learning problem, as I already told you, that whenever you are going to next step, means whenever you are going to some complex algorithm, your complexity of the system increases. So you have to be very specific which type of algorithm has to be used for AI. As I have queried, told in the last query also, that if my problem is not so complex, if I have to do something like I have to control a motor using a fuzzy controller, PI controller, or I control the speed of a motor, then my problem will be solved with the help of fuzzy logic only. So why to go for genetic algorithm and why to go for an ANN? So I can use a fuzzy controller instead of PID controller to improve the efficiency and accuracy, but it will take more time. So if I have a problem, optimization problem. So optimization problems are basically solved with the help of genetic algorithm. We have some optimization, we have some fitness function, and we create a population, and we find out offsprings, and we find out the fitness function calculation we do. If it is fitted to our accuracy, then we stop the things, and if it is not to the accurate level, then again we do the mutation and crossover. So if it is an optimization problem, it can be better solved with the help of genetic algorithm. But as far as machine learning is concerned, if you know, if you want to do the forecasting, and if you know want to do the you can say very advanced things, advanced speech recognition, image processing, if you do the things like this, so better go for machine learning. I think machine learning will solve the problems instead of fuzzy logic and or genetic. So optimization problems, we go for genetic algorithm, and somewhere we are having a big data. Suppose we are not having a motor data accurately. Suppose we are using some control problem we are dealing with, and suppose we are dealing with some machine problem. We are not having the sufficient data for that. So my fuzzy logic will work in that. So why to go for genetic algorithm? So I already told you that if you are not choosing the correct algorithm or correct technique for your specific problem, we are just wasting our actually time and all this. So machine learning we use basically for the higher things, small things that can be used with the help of ANN, fuzzy logic, and genetic algorithm, basically.
Okay, thank you, madam. It was a wonderful discussion, but the last thing I would like to like you to end with, it's a common discussion again, but still there was a question in the question panel from Mayuk Kotal about he requested you to focus or to throw some light on whether there is any chance of job loss for further development of AI and ML. So
Yeah,
I will request
definitely
you
this
to
question comes. Definitely this question
often
will come
this question
comes in the
always
mind of
always
yeah.
comes, but I would like to end this discussion with your
This is, I think this
input.
discussion is for all, not for me. So what
Yeah.
do you think? Okay, if you use AI or machine learning in near future in a very like fast manner, in a very much as if the people are using, so definitely manual things are reducing. Robots, if we create the robots, as I already told you, but that is not the thing that jobs are on this. Jobs will be increasing because I already told you that machine learning and any artificial intelligence techniques, nothing without human mind. Sure, is it understood?
And
Because yeah,
I would like to also add to this point, madam, with you that
yes sir, sure.
when the computer came in, people were also apprehensive whether job loss will be there due to
Yes,
the
yes,
computer.
yes,
But computer only
yes,
increased the job. So as I had
yes,
started by saying that if machines do more of our works, human will find further more works to do. So
yes,
never job loss
exactly.
will never be a problem as far as I am concerned. But it was, I must say that you have really made all of us enriched today
Thank you,
with many
thank you, sir.
discussions with many points that you really discussed. That was really beneficial for all of us, especially our students and teachers. I will
Yeah, for students, I have given the suggestions at the end that don't go be in hurry. Learn the things in a very slow manner. Learn the things in a very systematic manner. Don't
right.
go like this. Yes.
Absolutely. So thank you so
So
much, madam. It
it
was
is
really an
slow and steady learning process. It takes time. It takes years. Basically, you can say it is not like you can go to Python directly. So I learned Python and I have done machine learning. That's not the thing. You have to learn from the basic. Actually. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
so Professor Chirodeep and Professor Shondeep, would you like to add anything before ending this session?
Yes, actually, Dr. Gupta introduced machine learning in a very interesting way, and she has described the techniques like neural network, fuzzy logic, and genetic algorithm through which we can implement artificial intelligence at a generous extent. She has also focused on various fields of application of such algorithms in AI. She has also shown how AI can be applicable in manufacturing sector. She has also demonstrated how AI has shifted the research scopes in data computing, image processing, and signal processing. So I'm very much sure that our student has gained knowledge from Dr. Gupta's presentation. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you all,
Thank
the
you.
organizing team, for inviting me for such a nice discussion. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so
ma'am.
much.
Thank you, sir.